There aren't enough hours in the day. A recent poll found the average person wastes over 12 hours a week. If you extrapolate that, that's 624 hours a year, 26 days. That's a lot. Cue the music. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, and welcome to the podcast where we are on a mission to increase the world's leadership capacity. We know the world needs better leaders, and you are one of them. So welcome aboard. I'm glad that you're here trying to be a good leader. This podcast today is for anyone who has ever said, felt, or just experienced there aren't enough hours in the day. Just not enough time. Anj, you ever felt that? Mm-hmm. There's aren't enough hours in the day.
Yep. All the time.
Every day.
Every day, maybe.
Every day, maybe.
Some might say.
Jess, that's Jess, the new producer treat over there, tickling the ivories of the soundboard. Jess, you feel that? Not enough hours in the day?
Every single day of my life.
This poll, it's actually talking about things like being stuck on hold, waiting in lines.
That's what my mind
sitting in traffic.
Yes.
Yeah, traffic. That's the kind of stuff that they've compiled here to get this 26 days a year. That just seems crazy to me. Now, I will say, over the next few weeks, we're going to talk about optimizing your life. We're in a little mini series here on how to optimize your life. And so today we're going to help you with some ideas, tips, and tricks on how can I maximize my time? How do I optimize my life? You know, what are some life hacks? What are those sorts of things? Because we all want to get better. We all want to improve. And, you know, you have to lead yourself before you can lead others. And so the next few weeks is all about leading yourself. How can I be a better version of myself, get more done, accomplish things, et cetera, et cetera. But I thought this was interesting. What I meant to say there. I do get a little annoyed when people extrapolate these things to say, oh, you could save 26 days a year. That's not, that's not the way time works.
Well, that's the buy-in, right? I mean, that's like the, I want to hear more.
It's the clickbait. Exactly.
It's marketing.
Yes. All right. So all you market out there, our market is out. Like, that's ridiculous.
I would use it in a newsletter head subject line.
This is very close to me, and you'll probably hear me tell this story again. But, you know, back in my wee youth pastor days, you know, just young Jared, young 23, trying to be a good little youth pastor, doing all I can. I had a senior pastor, Darren, who, had many great qualities about him. And I did learn a lot about, like, this type of thing, optimizing your life and reading and studying and being the best version of yourself and improving. But he was on this kick one time. He came in and he was like, hey, what time did you get up this morning? I was like, I don't know. 7 maybe? I don't know. And he said, oh, you should get up earlier. I was like, okay, why? He was like, I'm going to start getting up because he was getting up at 5 o'clock. And he's like, I just moved back to 4:45. He was like, if I wake up 15 minutes earlier, over a year, I can have a doctorate. And I was like, wait, what? I was like,
the math is not math and brother.
The math, well, it's if you strictly look at the math, like, okay, if you waste 5 minutes a day, but that's not the way math works. I mean, that's the way math works. That's not the way life works.
Is this the same guy that left the note on the door?
Different pastor.
I had that
the door guy.
Too.
No, that was different. The discipline door.
We're about to tussle.
No, trust me, I've got lots of great what not to do in leadership stories. But that one I was like, okay, so waking up 15 minutes earlier, though, it gives you more time, but it doesn't equate to whatever that thing is. So we are not here. My point is, we are not here at the Good Leader Podcast to give you some sort of gimmick. That's not what the next few weeks are going to be about, on gimmicky, this hack, and you can save, minutes over here and do this. Maybe we will give some hacks on how we save time, but this is going to be more practical, tangible, real world, just normal human beings like you and me trying to do the best that we can without any, none of us have, at least I don't know, maybe you do. Maybe Anj has one or Jess has one. Some, like clickbaity, click on my program and I'll get you in shape in 20 days or, save your life.
I got to get myself in shape. What makes you assume that about us?
I didn't assume that you had one, but I didn't want to assume that you didn't have one.
Do I look like I've lost weight?
Well, Miss CrossFit over there, I do have to brag on you. You're like CrossFit queen. We went on our annual staff retreat.
I went to one CrossFit.
And at the retreat, where many people are like taking this as an opportunity to like, okay, we're off work. We're away from our family and away from our normal responsibilities. I'm going to chill out and sleep in. And you said, oh, no. I'm going to find a CrossFit gym.
Talk about optimizing your life.
I am right now.
75 hard.
And that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm bragging on you.
I had to. Thanks.
There you go. So good job. Good for you.
Slay.
Well, speaking of having more time, a recent survey asked people, what would you do if you did have more time? And so we're going to play a little game. So play that game music. Go ahead and play that game music, DJ. Perfect.
Sorry, I had it
Hey,
turned
we are
down.
a well-oiled machine around here.
We're just getting started, baby.
All right, this is a survey by Workforce Institute at Kronos, and they surveyed 2,772 employees across Australia, Canada, France, Germany, India, Mexico, and the UK and US. So this is a cross-continental company.
Worldwide.
You know, we're Pitbull over here. And they came up with the top 5 things people would do with more time. So this is a little guessing game for you two.
I know one.
What would you do? Go for it. This is just for fun. Guess for it.
Like workout or exercise.
Exercise come in at number 3.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
number 3.
Number 3. What would you do with more time? That was the question. What would you do with more time? Because that's exactly what we're talking. It's the counter of what we're talking about. People say, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. Well, if you did have more time, what would you be doing?
Learn a new language.
Learn a new language coming in at not on the list.
Oh, wow. I was like, wow, that's coming in on the list.
Get out of here with that guess. All right.
Is that what you meant to
All right,
play?
what else we got? Top 5 things people would do with more time.
Absolutely not.
Learn
Family.
Learn
Be
the
with family,
soundboard.
like time with family or something.
Be with family, number 1. Good job, Anj. Spend
Wow.
time with
See,
family,
I-
44%.
People really
I
are.
was the
Come on,
audience.
there's an obvious one. Number
I
2
was
is
the
obvious.
audience.
You are doing great. You are the audience. Number 2 is obvious. Come on. I thought number 2 was an immediate. This was my number 1.
Well, then what is it?
Travel. Number 2. Travel.
Okay.
Oh, honestly, that does not relate to my life. I'm like, I need to travel
We do
less.
travel.
I thought that was. I thought that was pretty. I thought that was pretty high.
I would travel
thought it would
less.
be, and it was. 43% said travel. 33% said exercise. 4 is kind of like number 1. Spend time with friends. So family was
Okay.
number 1. 4 is
Okay.
friends. Okay, spend time with people you care about. And number 5, pursue hobbies.
Okay.
Interesting. All right.
Learning
I
so,
was
a new
gonna say
language
pursue a
is
degree.
a hobby.
You could stretch that.
What?
You could stretch that.
That's a big stretch. I'm not giving you that one. Hey, you're 75 hard, not 75. Give me the answers on a curve. All right, here we go.
Those points.
Other
Come on.
findings. Of course, nearly a third, 27%, wanted to sleep more. Workers in the
Sleep was my
U.S.,
next
this is
one,
fascinating though. Workers in the U.S. craved more sleep than any other country surveyed. And workers in India wanted it the least, if you're curious. I was also curious because Mexican workers are apparently bookworms. They were the only workers who had read more in their top 5.
Wow.
Now, here's the last point. This is fascinating in this particular research. 62%, so over half of all people surveyed, said that their job actually gave them the flexibility to have work-life balance.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
this interesting conundrum, which is what we're talking about now. It's this interesting conundrum of like, well, if I had more time, I would do this. But my job actually does give me a lot of flexibility to have work-life balance. So then why are we still not achieving it? That's what we are going to be talking about, optimizing your life. Now, I'm curious because when we hatched out this season 6, are we in season 6? Is that right, Jess?
It is.
Keep me on track.
This is episode 5,
So
season 6.
episode 5, season 6, when we were talking about what we wanted to do, optimize your life was not my phraseology. So I'm curious what that means to you all before we go to the break. What when you hear that term, optimize your life, what does that mean to you? Because it might have a different connotation for me. I'm curious. Optimize your life.
Enhance the moments.
Enhance the moments. Okay.
Yeah.
Mine is probably strategy based. So
okay.
multitasking, fitting things in,
Yeah.
stacking things, I guess, or
Okay.
like filling holes.
I think like more like you, Jess. And when I first think about it, I think of like the term hack, like hacking your life, or like, okay, I could do this if I tweak this over here, if I stack this over here, kind of multitasking potentially or optimize. I'm actually thinking of things like right now I'm frustrated because I'm dealing with a stupid weed eater that won't work. And I've spent a lot of time on this dumb weed eater. Took it to the shop. I don't know if you've experienced this. I took it to the shop. The guy looked at it and he was like, let's just try it out. I think and it just ran. It just started for him. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, am I just a dummy and it doesn't work? And he's like, well, I think it's working. He was like, it could have been your gas on this and this and this. I was like, okay, great. So I was like, weed eater just fixed. Awesome.
Well, didn't you say that it would start and then
I
it would
already
stop?
did that. Yes, I fixed it once. I was proud of myself because I am not Mr. Handy. The pull start wouldn't even pull. Well, I took it apart and fixed that. That's right. I did. I was very proud of that.
Ghost point.
Why didn't you just buy a new one?
Oh my God. Right there. Look at that.
You're talking about optimizing your life. I'm like,
hold on,
Amazon. Here we go.
Hold on. You're not
tomorrow.
crazy.
Delivered.
This is a new. I bought it this year. So I bought this weed eater at the beginning of the season. It's not it's new. It is, I mean, relatively new. It's 3 months old.
Right. It's new.
Long story short, I've spent a lot of time on this weed eater.
Yeah.
I did fix it myself, more time than I anticipated. I took it to the shop. The guy just magic hands mechanic, made it work, handed it back to me. I go home today, right before this podcast. I turn it on. Wow. Dead again. So I spent another 45 minutes messing with this thing to get no weeds eaten. Okay. So very frustrated by it. That's what I think of with optimal. I was like, this is not the optimum way for me to spend my time.
Right.
This is
I
not
guess that's what I
optimizing
mean
my
by
life.
enhancing moments.
Well,
Like I would have just
I liked what you're saying.
got a new.
Well, enhancing moment sounds a little
got a
more
return policy on that
ethereal.
thing?
Well, I'm pretty
Dreamy.
fired up about it.
Dreamy.
But the long
Yeah.
story short is maybe I should just pay to get my lawn mowed. That's what I'm getting at. And is that a worthy cost?
That should have been my number one. Yeah.
Pure
Well, it's pretty
optimization.
expensive. I mean, I got a bid for it at the
We
beginning
paid
of the
a
year.
pretty penny for people just to do our entire lawn last weekend. Not mow it. Like I'm talking everything.
Landscape
Probably
and
the
everything?
probably the Jared Murr take on it. Like
Mm-hmm.
go at. You know how long it took him? Because he came with like 8 guys. 2 hours.
That's cool.
You know how long it would have
What'd
taken
you
me?
pay though?
You want to know? Really?
I do, because I'll tell you my quote that I'm not paying. I got a big yard though. I live on
Well, there
some
was 8
land.
guys.
But this is-
was there 8 guys?
Yeah, but I didn't pay all. I mean, we hired our guy, the guy
$5,000.
who mows
$5,000.
our. Oh my gosh, no.
Oh, I don't know. 8 guys. I don't know.
500?
Well, I didn't know the guys he was coming with. You're closer. You're much closer than Jared. It was
$5,000.
1,000. It was that. Wow, look at this guessing game. I should have had you guys keep going.
You paid $1,000 to
Yeah.
have your yard done.
That's how desperate John and I are for.
That is adulthood.
It is adult.
adult.
You know what the quote was on my lawn to do my yard?
Well, yours. I don't know.
You have
It's a lot.
acres.
I
We
was.
do have
Are you
acres.
talking about all the acres?
Not all 240.
Okay.
We live on land. It's 240 acres. We manicure about probably 2.5 acres of it.
Oh my gosh, how much is that? 10?
$1,000 a week.
Oh, 1,000 a week.
a week.
$1,000
Oh
a
my
week.
gosh.
Yeah, that's why I'm not paying it. Right
I
now.
mean, yeah, that's hard.
So that's why I didn't do it. That's why I'm
We did
messing
pay
with the weed
$1,000
eater.
if it makes you feel
But
better.
over these next few weeks, I do think there comes a point where you have to weigh, is this cost worth the optimization of
Yeah.
my life? And there comes a point where you step over those thresholds. Like honestly, you
And
said
you say-
$1,000 for landscaping. I was like, okay, I
Easy.
guessed $5,000.
I know.
So-
I know. I was like, wow, no, I'm actually feeling pretty good about that.
I kind of think you got a deal.
Yeah, we did.
When we get back from the break, though, I'm going to give you a hot take that is sizzling about all this optimization. Cue the music for the break.
Are you looking for a new book to read? Well, I have one right here for you. It is Open-Ended Logic by our very own Kevin Ragsdale of Paradigm Shift. Check it out. You can buy it on Amazon today. I was gonna lift
What
the book.
a troll.
I was gonna. You think I was just gonna be like
If you're not watching on YouTube,
The whole time?
you should watch on YouTube. It's lots of fun. You can see our antics.
dramatic? Is
You
what he
did
is.
it, Jess. Hey, Open-Ended Logic.
Drama.
Our boy, one of our facilitators, our
Drama.
senior tribal manager. He does a great job. Kevin Ragsdale. He wrote a book called Open-Ended Logic. Right there. You can see it on YouTube. Check it out. Google it up on Amazon. Open-Ended Logic. He has some great stories there. If you are a student of business like Kevin is, this book is a great curation of incredible stories and fun, practical takeaways on what does it mean to have a good company. I think his tagline, I'll read it so I don't mess it up. Why the best companies in the world are the best companies in the world. Really good stuff, really fun stuff. Proud of Kevin. Good work, Kevin, on knocking that out, working hard on it. You know, a lot of people have on their bucket list, like, write a book.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people I know, like,
That's on my bucket list.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So, optimizing your life, how do you get that done? You've got to figure out time, space. How am I going to make this happen? So that's why I'm really proud of Kevin. He just made it happen. He said, you know what? I'm going to write a book. That's not his full-time job. He's not a full-time author. Something he wanted to do, something he believes in, and he made it happen. Now, here's my hot take, though. Speaking of writing books, mowing lawns, anything like this on this optimization, I think it's a little bit overblown, and I want to frame it correctly. Because optimizing your life, I think in general, can be really good. And over the next few weeks, we're going to talk about some things like how can I be a better version of myself and improve my time management and get better at my skills. But just the phrase and this idea that we're a part of, I think it is overblown because here's the truth. You cannot have it all.
Oh, sure.
You cannot have it all.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is a unspoken belief that people do think they can't have it all. And if I optimize my life well enough, or if I'm doing it right, or if I'm doing it well, then I can have it all. I'm just a place where I'm just saying that's just not true. You can't have it all. So today I want to give some encouragement if you're out there working hard, especially for you who are, well, I identify very specifically with parents because I am a parent, but not just parents, people who are in any space of life. I think that, C.S. Lewis said, comparison is the thief of joy. And so I believe that a lot of the root of optimization is a false competition with yourself driven by a perception of others. I came up with that phrase in preparation for this day because I think in our culture where we see so much of other people's lives on social media and just general information. We just know a lot about people's lives. Like, I just think back to when I was a kid, I didn't know anything about people's lives.
I know so much about everyone.
It's insane, actually. I don't think it's healthy.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's another topic for another day.
Right.
But I just remember it, not even as a kid, but let's say all through my high school years, even into college, because Facebook came out when I was like in grad school, like post undergrad. That's when people started getting Facebook, old school Facebook, when you had to have a college email address.
Right.
So I missed it as a student and a young person, the entire social media. But you just didn't know what was going on in people's lives. Like, I had no clue what other people's parents are, or where they went on vacation, or what they did. I might know my 2 or 3 friends that went on vacation and came back and said, oh yeah, we got to go to California this summer. Cool. That's the extent of my knowledge. Oh yeah, my friend went to California. You don't see pictures of it. You don't know it. Like,
wow, I don't know if I remember ever not knowing what was going on in
Me
people's
too.
lives.
I mean,
that's crazy.
I've had social media since I was 10. So
Yeah.
it's like
Exactly.
my whole life
Even
has
before
been
Facebook, yeah.
wanting to know like what everybody was into.
Yeah.
okay, so this is where I'm coming from with, I know, well, how does that play into optimization? Now, I don't just want to be a complete curmudgeon on the corner over here, dissing social media.
Curmudgeon
Okay.
corner over there.
That's not me. Because I could, just be a curmudgeon and just be like, oh,
Right.
social media.
I have some things too I think I know what you're about to say.
Well, so how does social media tie into optimization?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like, okay, well, the reason we even think we should optimize something is because we are unhappy with ourselves, because we are comparing it
Yeah.
to what we perceive of other people.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's just a bunch of BS. Like, it just doesn't exist. All of that. That's why I say no one can have it all. And whatever picture you're looking at, it's probably not as clear for them. Or this is what I see a lot. And this is where I'd like to take the meat of today. And I'm going to give you a few things that I've thought of here. And I'm curious of what your perspective is on this. But you're comparing apples to oranges when you're looking at somebody else's life, especially when you're thinking like, oh man, like here's one for me. I look at other entrepreneurs, business owners who are about my age, give or take. And I look at them and I go, wow, they are just killing it. Oh my gosh, like they have it together. Like, here we are on a leadership podcast and I'm just feeling like an imposter thinking, wow, okay. And other people are better than me. That's true. And I can take that. But I look around at many of those people that I get frustrated with and I think, okay, we should be here and be here. And then I also, once you dig a little deeper, I'm like, okay, well, I don't think their family, many of them, I'm like, I don't think you have kids. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, well, obviously I can't. That's apples to oranges. Jared over here trying to, like right before this podcast, I dropped Jocelyn off to an audition for a play. Mm-hmm. Well, that goes against other goals that I might have. And so something's got to give.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that something's got to give. And so I'm going to say my statement again, Jess. And what do you think about this? So the root of optimization is a false competition with yourself driven by a perception of others.
Yeah. I think when it comes to this topic in general, like the foundation for this is we are not built to obtain all of the information that we do on a daily basis because of social media. Like we are just not built for that.
Right.
We never have been. We weren't from the beginning of time.
Agree.
So in addition to like the comparison piece, our brains are also just filtering out so much information. Like, and I think that when it comes to optimization, that can kind of take a place instead of like how are you framing how you're going to optimize your life because you're thinking about everything else that's going on. You're just worried about other things.
Okay.
But also for the comparison piece, I mean, you have no idea that you want to do better until you see someone doing better.
Right.
And I think it has its perks and its cons, but
well, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And that's why I say I don't want to be a curmudgeon in the corner saying like, oh, the social media is terrible, da-da-da. But I will say that much of the optimization, this is where we want to start. The next 3 episodes are going to be much more practical and tangible. This episode's, though, much more theoretical because I think you have to start from a place. And this is where my 3 tips today, if we're going to optimize your life truly, and this is when, as a team, we came up with this topic. My first thought was, number 1, well, know your priorities. In other words, what do you even want to optimize? Instead of just chasing after, well, I guess I need to, get up early and hustle. Or I guess I need to go on that diet and do 75 hard and get in better shape. Well, maybe you do need to get in better shape, but start from a place of knowing, okay, what do I want, not compared to others, and what is most important to me now? Because number 1 is knowing your priorities. Now, here are 2 quick things that I will give practically to maybe help with that. And once again, you're trying to be a good leader. You're trying to be a better version of yourself. The life wheel is a great place to start. Now, if you've ever done a life wheel activity, there are several different categories, but it's basically, you can Google it up right now, life wheel exercise or life wheel diagram. And it's just a wheel thinking of these different areas of your life, like financial, career, family, spiritual, personal health, recreation, all those types of things, just to give you an idea of where you are. And this is why I say know your priorities, because there are many times I look at that and I go, wow, my friend zone is low every time I do this activity. Friends.
You have to like rate it, right?
You have to rate it. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, you do it where you rate it. Yeah. You basically, and I like a wheel because it's a good visual. So you're essentially rating yourself 1 to 100. You know, how are you doing in your career? I'm pretty much where I am, where I want to be. I'm like an 80. Great. Where are you in your spiritual life? You know, I feel pretty good about where I am. I'm a 75. Where are you in your friends, friends and connections? I'm like, oh gosh, 10.
Yeah.
Like I have no friends.
You can see the dips. Yeah.
You see those dips, but the point in the activity to me is not to say, okay, you should be batting 1,000. You should be 100% on all these things. But really, it gives you a scope to say, I'm okay with giving that up. I'm okay with giving that up. I'm okay with this in this time in my life, right here, right now. This is the priority. And so you have to know those priorities. And instead of thinking optimize your life, when we talk about optimizing your life over these next few episodes, we're not telling you how to run on all cylinders really, really well all the time. What we want to do is help you clarify your goals, clarify what you want to achieve, and then maximize that. So when you say enhance the moment, it's about, well, what do you want to enhance? Instead, I think, and this is where the comparison comes in. I think we're really bad about just something comes across our screen and we go, oh, ugh. Like it's almost subconscious.
It's so personal.
It's personal. It's like, oh man, I suck.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, you do, because you're not doing anything about that. And that's fine.
Right.
I think of that, like I said, when I look at other entrepreneurs, I'm like, oh man, I suck. Like I'm not doing anything in that regard. Well, and then if I step back, I go, well, I don't want to do anything with that. I don't want to be that type of person. I don't want to live that life.
Yeah.
So knowing your priorities. Another tip to really help you, because we use priorities, we use that word a lot. I think of roles over priorities. And this may be very powerful if you've never thought of it in these terms. Because we say priorities, like I'm from the Bible Belt. I live in rural Oklahoma. So if I just throw a rock and I tell any of my contemporaries pretty much, what are your priorities? It's, well, my faith or God, family, and then everything else. Okay? Now, that's here where I live. Other people, you might say family is very high. So a lot of people might say, oh, my family is very high, or my health is very high, or something like that. But instead of saying family, that's too broad. By roles, what roles do you play? So as a family member, my roles are husband, father, son, brother. Like those are roles versus the priority of family. And when you really boil it down, it's like, okay, well, what is the priority? What role is most important? And for me, well, husband and father, that's it. The other roles, you might say, okay, what about son? Like, well, it's not as important. And if you tear it out, it's like, actually, there's a drop off after that. Hey, you're being a great son and a terrible husband. Oh man, I am doing something wrong. Now, does that mean I totally neglect my mom and dad? No, but it means that I know my priorities. Okay, so roles over priorities, know your priorities. Number 2, know yourself. Now, remember, we're talking about optimizing, and then knowing yourself this is where I think the comparison is the teeth of joy is so true. You have to optimize you. Right. Some people aren't built, like I think of me versus my wife. Jen needs food. Jen needs food. Like if she wakes up in the morning and goes like an hour without eating something, she is going to have a headache. It's going to be a terrible day. She's going to go downhill fast.
Yeah.
She needs food. So what is optimal for her is to, pay attention to my diet, make sure I'm doing that. Me, I'm the opposite. I'm like, I can go for days without eating. Okay, maybe not days, but I wake up, I often just don't eat breakfast. I often skip lunch if I'm working on something especially, and I'm totally fine. But that's me.
Yeah.
We see these. This is where I get, okay, now I'm going to get on a high horse for a second.
Oh, God.
Are you ready for this?
What have we done?
Well, I think this is where I get on like David Goggins, Alex Hormozy, people like that.
Oh, yeah.
I give a whole bunch of credit in the world to those guys. They keep being you. Do what you do. Seriously, like I think that's great. And they're very successful and they're doing well. And who am I to tell them how to live their life? But if you're out there reading the Navy SEAL David Goggins book and going, oh, golly, I guess I need to have my 6-pack abs or else I'm not a man. Well, okay, let's just work on our personal insecurities first. And then let David Goggins be him. You know what I'm saying? Like when I hear him, talk about like, if you can't run a 7-minute mile, I don't know how you're getting out of bed and calling yourself a man. I'm like, shut up, David. You know what I'm saying?
Shut up, Big Dave.
Shut up, Big Dave. Little skinny, super fit Dave. Very muscular, wish I had that body Dave. Yeah, shut up. My point is, know you.
Right.
You might not be able to operate like that. If you need 10 hours of sleep, get 10 hours of sleep.
Yes.
If you need to take a break at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, now navigate it. Talk to your team appropriately.
Yes.
But if you're like, wow, I really need to take this break. I need to, all of those types of things. And last point, and then we're done here. Okay. Know the season. And this is my best tip. And this is really where I'm talking to parents. I'm talking if you're a young person, anyone in any season, but know the season. Mm-hmm. And I really just got two points here, or two sub points. Hustle culture. I just mentioned Alex Hormozi, David Goggins. I actually respect those men individually for what they're doing, but I also know, wow, I'm not going to be either one of those guys. Mm-hmm. So I can take bits and pieces. There's truth everywhere and things that I can apply. But I also know, wow, I'm not going to be Alex Hormozi. Why? Well, because number one, he's not a parent.
It's very evident who they are.
Yeah.
And they play into that.
And they should.
Yeah. And that is just who they are, but that doesn't mean it has to be you.
Exactly. And so know the season you're in. And that's what I'm knowing. Like, okay, wow, my kids are going to be kids for about 10 more years. That's what I've got. Our youngest is 6. So I've got about the next decade. And then guess what? Then I'm probably going to put the pedal to the metal on business. Why? Because, now I'm out of that season of life. Mm-hmm. If you're young, if I could go back, if you're a young person in this season, I would say, man, you should be traveling. What is optimizing your life? You should travel. If you're young, especially if you're young, single, no kids, man, travel. Do everything you can to travel. Do everything you can. You can travel on the cheap. You can travel wherever. It doesn't matter what, when, where, how. Just go. Mm-hmm. And if you're worried about anything, don't even worry about it. If you think, shouldn't I be doing this? Probably not. I would encourage you to travel. Why? Because that's the season of life you're in.
Yeah.
So these seasons will come and go quickly. Know the season you're in and how to optimize that season. And instead of just thinking about optimizing, oh gosh, I'm going to be doing this forever in this way. Nope, I'm optimizing the season. All right. That's how we're rolling into this. So I want us, as we go into these next 3 episodes, to think about the healthy perspective on even us. Here we are giving you tips over these next 3 episodes. But know your priorities, know your tips. And you go, that might work for Anj. I don't know if that would work for me. How can I twist that? How can I apply that to me? All right. I told you I was going to give you a big overview. That's the big overview. What are your thoughts? Optimization. Am I on the right track?
Yeah.
Jess agrees. Anj, I think you agree.
I do. I'm laughing at the last one, Know Your Season, because I was thinking of when we had our youngest now, Lorenzo. John was like in this big kick of what you're saying right now, like had to be working out every day, was eating so clean.
Yeah, okay.
We have literally already had one kid, so we know how this goes. Like this was just foolishness. So we have him, and we're back home. No lie, probably 2 days after we're back home, he's like, I got to get up at 5. I got to go. I'm going to go work out at the gym. And to his credit, he was doing it in our house. We had like an in-home gym. Okay, it's a little better.
That's a little better.
But I'm like, but you're waking up at 5. I mean, we've been up.
With a newborn.
And a toddler now. Yeah. So I'm like, what are you doing? So he does this. He's doing it 6 weeks or so in. He got so sick.
He crashed.
It took him like 2 months to recover from how he kept getting sick over and over and over again. And it took him 3 months. And I was really saying it, but I finally was like, do you think you're not getting enough sleep to fully recover? Do you think that could be something in this season with our toddler and newborn? And so he finally made some adjustments. But I do want to say he didn't stop. Like we both still actively work out and eat healthy. But I think there is a point to knowing the season of like, but I'm not going to be able to get up at 5 a.m. and do that. So we have to constantly change and adapt to where our kids are at and figure out new times to do it. So I was just thinking of your examples in my literal life. And I was like, yeah, wow.
And a tag on that.
Pretty spot on.
Yeah, you still work out, but you might not have the 6-pack abs. You know what I'm saying? Like this, this is a maintenance season.
Yeah, John, yes.
This is a maintenance season.
About that, yeah. You might not have 2 hours to do your whole.
Absolutely.
Someone asked me what my cut was or something the other day. Like on Tuesdays you do shoulders, you do elbows, you do toes.
Not elbows.
LOL. I do. I work my elbows. That's pretty much it.
Shoulders, knees, and toes.
I'm just kidding. Just what's your split? How do you split? I was like, I try to work out for 45 minutes. If my fingertips get worked out, I'm happy with that. I'm not in a season to sit here and take all my measurements and do all of that. And I think it's just okay to know that. So give yourself permission is great. I liked your point there.
Absolutely. All right, Jess, going into these next few episodes, what are your thoughts? Optimization, questions, comments, give me some homework.
I think it's important that you did lay down the foundation and like the theory behind our motive with giving these tips. Because I think that you can be given tips, but you have to make them work in your life where they fit ultimately. So for the next few episodes, we have a lot of very specific topics that we're going to go in terms of optimizing your life. So you'll get them in good categories and in segments that you can comprehend and learn.
Well, and as we close out, I do believe that you can get better. That's the truth. We all can get better. We can improve. That's the fundamental basis of a podcast like this. But we know that leadership is hard. We want to help you with it. We want to encourage you with it. And if you want to be a leader, you want to grow, you want to get better. But today was about prioritizing what it is I want to get better in. How do I want to grow? How do I want to optimize? Because I do believe that wherever you are, you can get better and you can optimize your life. So let's all do that over these next few episodes. We're going to optimize our life. We're going to learn some ideas, tips, tricks, and we're going to have some fun along the way. So go out there and be a good leader.